have another big monster quarterback potentially traded this offseason and even before free agency opens. And it's all centering around Carson Wentz. When Doug Peterson was fired, it looked as if the Eagles were saying, hey, Wentz is the guy that we invested all this money in, and whoever we want to fix him. And the whole hiring of Nick Sirianni, their new head coach, it seemed on the surface that it was to repair Carson Wentz. However, news is being broke. Adam Schefter said that it is expected that Carson Wentz is going to be traded within the next week or so. And the two teams that are kind of at the forefront of this potential trade is the Indianapolis Colts and the Chicago Bears, with right now looking like the Chicago Bears are the front runner to get Carson Wentz. And this is a bit surprising. I would have thought that if the Eagles were going to trade a quarterback, it was going to be Jalen Hurts, just to get him out of there and let Carson Wentz kind of have the show again. But it looks like they must be ready to move on from him. They're tired of him. Whatever that may be, they are looking to move on. And the rumor out there of the potential trade with the Chicago Bears, you would have thought, hey, the Bears have a good defense. Maybe the Eagles are going to go after one of their cornerbacks. Jalen Johnson, their rookie cornerback, just had a very good rookie year. Get him on there. Maybe go after Eddie Jackson. Maybe go get Roquan Smith. But, along with multiple first-round picks or multiple draft picks, whatever it may be. But the rumor, and this is just a rumor, so we don't know how much of it is actually true, but the rumored exchange has the Philadelphia Eagles sending Carson Wentz to the Chicago Bears for the 20th overall pick in this draft, the 2021 draft, Nick Foles, and an offensive player. Now, if this trade happens, I think this is a landslide for the Bears. I know there's a lot of media on social media, a lot of media people that say, oh, this is bad for both teams. I don't see that. I think this is bad for the Philadelphia Eagles, and this would be remarkable for Chicago Bears. So let's look at who that other offensive player. Now, there has been a rumor out there that it's Tariq Cohen, the Bears, explosive, playmaking, running back, backup running back to David Montgomery. He was that person. Now, Cohen said he talked to Matt Nagy, talked to Ryan Pace, and they assured him he was not going to be traded. So, if he was, once again, I still think that's a landslide win for the Bears. Let's say it's not him. Well, the Eagles need offensive help they need help at receiver. So, the only other name that kind of fits with me is Emmanuel Moody, the Bears' late round wide receiver out of Tulane who kind of burst onto the scene and looks like a guy that's going to be a quality receiver in this league. And once again, that doesn't change my opinion. I still think this would be a slam dunk move for the Bears. And there's a lot of reasons. First off, you get rid of Nick Foles. Nick Foles didn't work out. He didn't, he won a couple games, but he looked bad. For whatever reason, Philadelphia, the Eagles love them some Nick Foles. I know he did win them a Super Bowl, so that probably has something to do with it. But the Bears get rid of Nick Foles. They get Carson Wentz. So just flip-flopping those two quarterbacks, big win for the Bears. Then they lose even if they lose Moody, who really showcased a lot of talent. The receiver classes that we're seeing in the draft year in and year out now, you're going to be able to go find another Emmanuel Moody. As much as I like him, as much as I think he's got talent, you're going to be able to find another guy like that. And then they're only giving up the first round pick this year, the 20th overall pick, who, if you look at the Bears, and I just did a mock draft, it's going to be out Monday after the Super Bowl. I have the Bears taking Alex Leatherwood, offensive tackle out of Alabama. There's not anyone there at that 20th pick that I really think, oh gosh, you can't trade that pick away with this player sitting there. Now, there's always going to be a good player. You're still getting the technically 20th best player in the draft. But I think Carson Wentz, his impact is going to be better than anybody you can get with the 20th pick. If you're talking about taking a quarterback with that 20th pick, you're basically talking about Mac Jones, who I don't think is worth that pick. Now, some people will say, well, Carson Wentz is garbage. He got benched mid-season for Jalen Hurts. And yes, he's got some flaws. I know the report out there, that the story of his diva-ish behaviors is out there, and I get that. But if he goes to the Chicago Bears, Carson Wentz is going to at least some bit of familiarity. John DeFilippo is the Bears quarterback's coach, or at least on that staff. And that's who Carson Wentz's quarterback coach was when he got into the league and had his most success. And if you read the reports of what happened with Carson Wentz, is when Frank Wright left and John DeFilippo left, and then they were bringing up Press Taylor. And Carson must not have, just was buddies with him, thought he maybe knew more, respected, didn't respect him enough as a coach, and he kind of pushed himself around, made excuses, and wasn't held accountable. Hopefully getting him with John DeFilippo will get back to him getting coached hard, him having some accountability, whatever it may be. We forget that Carson Wentz, before this last season, was a true MVP caliber. He led the Philadelphia Eagles, not this year, but the year before, to the playoffs and nearly won a game with junk as offensive weapons, for the most part, at least at receiver. He was an MVP candidate before he's been hurt. So health is a big issue. Getting him playing and his confidence and accountability is a big issue. But if the Bears make this move, and it's all speculative, that doesn't mean for sure that's what the offer it is, but if that is the offer, that is a no-brainer for the Bears, because even if Carson Wentz bombs and he's terrible and he continues to play like he did this year, the Bears didn't mortgage their future to get him. They gave away their backup quarterback. They gave away one first-round pick and a young but replaceable level player. So I think if you're a Bears fan, you better hope that this trade goes through. And even if they throw in a second-round pick, even if you throw in, a third-round pick, one or the other, I still think this is a no-brainer for the Bears. You make this move yesterday, you get somebody, and I think the Bears are going to try and make this happen because Matt Nagy and and Pace, the general manager, they know that they've got to get this quarterback situation fixed this offseason, and I think Carson Wentz is their best chance. And if you get Carson Wentz on this team with this defense, maybe you're able to franchise Allen Robinson for one more year. I think the Bears are definitely a team that you got to watch for in the NFC.